Today I'm going to take you with me on a bit of an unplanned ride. I was supposed to be adventuring around the state of Utah in a rental RV this week, but due to a challenging set of circumstances, we ended up home early, and fortunately everything is okay now, but we had certainly a bit of a scare. But I want to share that with you, not as a reason that I want you to feel bad for me, but I want you to reflect on how we can use situations like this in our life to really kind of recalibrate and understand what's important and how important it is that we handle challenging situations calmly. And I want to kind of take a look at how that also applies specifically to the motorcycle world. You know, it's important when things don't go right, you know, on the highway or the back roads or the twisties, right? The mentality we have and the ability to stay calm and in control of the situation really becomes important. And we can use these other experiences in our life as a way to build up that mentality that may help us on the road later. But enough talking. Let's get started and get on the road. And I'll share a bit as we enjoy some of the scenic California coastside. It is a beautiful day for a ride, so I can't really complain about being back home, and I'm still not at work. So, long story short, the situation that brought us back was an incident with our dog sitters who had essentially let our dogs escape from their yard. We still don't have a lot of details, and you know, I don't know that the details are really all that important, but what I think is important is realizing that when these things happen, the way we respond to them can have a big impact on not only ourselves and how, you know, successful we are at navigating them without creating bigger issues, but also, you know, the impact to the people around us. You know, obviously the dog sitters are quite upset and distraught with the situation, and not only that, but also, you know, the whole community really rallied behind us and helped us recover our dogs. And you know, the behavior we have at this point, you know, is going to be noticed throughout the community. But let's get on the road a little bit, and I'll share some more details while we cruise. So, I think this is the perfect backdrop to go ahead and continue my story for a little while. So, as I mentioned, my partner and I were supposed to be roaming the desert in southern Utah this week, and we had a unfortunate series of events that led to us coming back. You know, our dogs had gotten out from the dog sitter's house, and I think the first thing I want to say about this is why having a community is so very important. You know, we no longer live near the dog sitters, but we used to, and we have some family and some friends and some neighbors that are still in the area. And I just want to take this moment, if anyone who's watching this video was a part of, you know, the help in getting our dog back or the search for our dog, you know, this is my sincerest, heartfelt thank you for that. It was unbelievable the way the community rallied. You know, we weren't physically able to be there, but everyone we talked to told us the same story. Just the whole community was out working on printing flyers, posting flyers, looking for, you know, everyone really came together to help us in this difficult situation. So I think my first point that I've reflected on in this is that, you know, well before these sort of incidents happen, just how important it is to be in a community and engaged in a community, and helping others. That way, when you're the one that needs help, you know, there's people that are willing and even eager to help you in your time of need. So that's my first reflection. My second reflection is the importance to stay calm and focus on the urgent issues. For example, you know, it was very natural for us to be, of course, very mad at the dog sitters, but I feel pretty proud of the way we handled it. You know, we didn't, you know, I think we handled things, you know, peacefully and you know, kind of like respectful individuals communicating with each other. Everyone's focus was on finding my dog and getting her back. There was no blaming and yelling and those sort of things, which all could have been very easy and natural responses. So that's my second point of it. It's, you know, it's important to continue to kind of be collaborative and work together when these sort of things happen. And also to stay calm. You know, obviously my partner and I were both very upset about the situation. And I think we all in all did a pretty good job of kind of maintaining our composure and coming up with a, we've got a little group riding going by over here. It's a beautiful ride out here on Highway 1 today. But that, I've lost my train of thought. So I think now is a good time to get back on the road. I have another point of interest I want to show you, and I'll continue the story there. All right, we are strapped back in, or getting strapped back in, and ready to get back on the road here. If anyone's wondering, this is Pescadero State Beach on Highway 1, just outside of, you guessed it, the town of Pescadero, which, if you're watching this video, you just watched me ride through. Made a little gas stop, got topped off, and off we go. And it's a beautiful day out here. This is very often covered in a blanket of fog and some kind of misty, rainy weather. So I am just very grateful to have a nice sunny day to ride on. you can see here is Pigeon Point Lighthouse. You can see there's some restoration work going up there at the top. That started about a year or so ago, and it looks like it's coming along pretty nicely. It's not open to the public to go up inside, but you can go and do what I'm going to do and walk around here from the outside, take a look. But this is one of my favorite stops here in this local area, because not only is the lighthouse up here, but there's also out here to the right, you can see these sea cliffs, and there's some little tide pools down there that you can walk down and explore. Let me bring you with me and we'll take a quick little peek. I'm not going to climb down today, but you can see the rocks out there. If you get here on a nice day at low tide, you can climb down there and take a look at the tide pools. Depending on the time of year, you see all sorts of interesting little sea life down there. So that's certainly a cool place to explore. But I think we were in the middle of a story when I got distracted last time. So let me finish that up a little bit. So I want to kind of transition to how these sort of lessons can reflect to motorcycle riding. You know, so in the situation with the lost dogs, you know, we kept our cool. You know, we did some, you know, physically and emotionally difficult things. You know, we ended up driving through the night to get home. Fortunately, by the time we made it home, the dog had come back to the sitter's house and everything was secured. Of course, we still had some things to take care of related to logistics and that sort of thing. But when we think about how this might interact with a motorcycle trip, or motorcycle riding in general, you know, that same sort of calmness and emotional maturity, you know, those are really, really valuable on the road, right? Things are going to happen that are going to scare us. Things may happen that hurt us, right? One of my first couple trips, I took a bug to my neck and it really stung, and I had to, you know, focus on still riding. And so those sort of things, as riders, we deal with those all the time, right? That's not an abnormal thing to hit a bug on the motorcycle. But it's important to stay focused and calm and collected when these things happen so that we can maintain control of the situation. And if we need to, we can pull over and calm down, right? But you're not going to practice these things on the motorcycle, but they're terribly important when you are on the motorcycle. So it's important that we practice these things in our everyday life so that when we're on the motorcycle, we can maintain the same level of control over our emotions and our actions. So I've been reflecting on the incident a little bit, and, you know, when I decided to come on the ride today, you know, I really thought I wanted to share the story with you guys, but share it in a way that was meaningful and reflecting. So I hope that you get something out of that, and I hope that, you know, it kind of puts things in context for all of us, myself included, right? You know, we don't normally stop and think of these things unless something happens. So as horrible as this event was, in a way, a good thing came out of it, and that it gave us a chance to stop and reflect and really think about how important it is, the way we respond to incidents and the way we build a community around ourselves to help us when we're going through these incidents. So with that, I'm gonna go walk back up to the lighthouse, and we'll take a little look out the observation deck, and then we'll hit the road. And I've got some fun little back roads to take back home. It's always cool making these little stops, especially on a motorcycle, because a bunch of times you meet fellow motorcyclists. Just ran into these two that were riding up the coast of California. Had a nice little chat with them. We will continue on our way south. my sneaky little back way home when I don't want to take Highway 1 back, which is often, because this is a fun little back way with almost no traffic, although you can see it's quite narrow, so when there is traffic, it requires a little bit of caution.